Lions storm the jungle. If there's one thing this team has proven so far, it's that they're no longer trying to prove anything to anyone. They've already shown they belong at this level. The respect is here, and now the conversation has changed. Is it time to take the next step? But before we dive into that, make sure to drop a like to support the channel and let me know in the comments. Do you think Detroit should go all in and make a big trade? Or is it smarter to trust the core that's already proving to be one of the most solid in the NFL? Because the energy in Detroit is different. The confidence is real, the momentum is strong, and what's coming next could change everything. So hold tight, Lions fans, because the break's only on the schedule, not in the ambition. Let's talk about what's really happening behind the scenes in Detroit. The Detroit Lions are sitting at the bye week with confidence, momentum, and a growing sense that this is no longer a team trying to prove itself. This is a team that belongs. The trade market is heating up across the NFL, and it makes perfect sense that Detroit's name keeps coming up. The Lions are being linked to nearly half of the top 20 potential trade targets out there, which tells you how much respect this front office has earned. But now the question that everyone's talking about is, should the Lions make a move? There are some big names floating around, but as always, the key question isn't who's available, it's what makes sense for this team right now. Let's start with one of the most intriguing options, Jalen Phillips from Miami. The Dolphins' season has gone off the rails, and they might be ready to reset. Phillips is just 26, a talented defensive end with massive upside, but he's coming off several injuries and set to hit free agency soon. Miami knows they might not re-sign him, and Detroit could easily be the team that swoops in. The fit makes sense, an athletic edge rusher who can rotate in with a deep defensive line, but the risk is clear. You're not trading for a rookie, you're trading for someone who's already peaked. And that's where this debate really gets interesting, because draft picks represent ascending players, guys who are still getting better. When you trade a pick, you're giving up the chance to add a young building block for someone who's already on the decline. We've seen this before. Think about Zadarius Smith. Gave one good year, retired the next. That's the gamble. So, is that what Detroit wants right now? There are other names, too. Tariq Woolen from Seattle, young, long, and fast, but his team suddenly has depth at corner and might be willing to move him. Rasul Douglas, veteran guy, productive, but at 30 years old, that's a short-term rental at best. Alani Taylor from the Saints? That one's intriguing. New Orleans is out of contention, and Taylor's the kind of player who could come in and fit Detroit's mold. Physical, tough, team first. Arden Key in Tennessee? Another pass rusher who's flashed ability, but again, it's all about value. So here's the dilemma. Do the Lions ride with the young core they've built, or do they make a push and bring in another piece? The defense has been rock solid overall, outside of some secondary injuries, and players like Mohamed, Tyrus Wheat, and the soon-to-return Mazone Smith, nicknamed My Wingo in the locker room, have been stepping up. DJ Reader and Alam McNeil are anchoring the middle like veterans in their prime. The defensive front is deep, and the chemistry is undeniable. The real question mark lies in the secondary. With Kirby Joseph close to returning and Terrion Arnold still a few weeks out, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. DJ Reed, Whiteside, Harper, Millette, all of them have battled, holding the line even with the injuries stacking up. That's the kind of resilience you want to see from a championship-caliber team. So maybe the smartest move isn't a trade. Maybe the right answer is to trust what's already been built. And when you look at how this team stacks up against the rest of the league, it's clear they've earned that confidence. Power rankings show the Chiefs still sitting at the top, and yeah, that season opener against Kansas City still stings. Detroit lost that one, but even in defeat, it felt like they belonged. That's how far this franchise has come. The Rams are playing well, the Packers are hanging around, but let's be honest, Green Bay's been playing down to weaker opponents all year. You never know what version of them you're getting. The Lions, meanwhile, have stayed consistent. This bye week couldn't come at a better time. Detroit's in a position where the rest of the division could actually help them. The Packers have to take on the Steelers, and if Pittsburgh can pull one off, that's a huge boost. The Vikings face the Chargers, and with LA desperate for a win, that matchup could easily swing Detroit's way in the standings. Even Chicago's game against Baltimore matters. A Ravens win there keeps the Bears buried deeper in the basement. Every little stumble from the rest of the NFC North helps Detroit stretch their lead. And speaking of consistency, here's something wild. The Lions haven't lost back-to-back games in 3 years. Let that sink in. That's not a fluke, that's a culture. And they haven't dropped a single home primetime game in the entire Dan Campbell era. 7 games, all wins. Monday night, Sunday night, doesn't matter. When the lights come on in Detroit, the Lions deliver. That swagger shows up in every snap, every tackle, every drive. You see it in players like Jahmyr Gibbs, who's not just playing well, he's redefining what this offense can be. Everyone knew he was fast. Everyone knew he was electric. But what surprises you when you really watch him is how strong he is. He's not just a finesse back. He bounces off tackles, breaks through contact, and never seems to go down easy. The balance, the explosion, the confidence, it's all there. And then you throw in David Montgomery, another reliable veteran who's as tough as they come, and somehow Gibbs still looks like the better back. On a roster full of stars, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Gibbs still stands out. He's that special. You can feel it. It's like watching the league's next great running back unfold in real time. So with all of that in mind, the strength of this defense, the growth of the offense, and the chemistry this team has built, what do you think the Lions should do? Should Brad Holmes go all in and make a move before the deadline? Or should Detroit trust the roster that got them here and let the young core keep building momentum? Because here's the thing. For the first time in decades, Detroit isn't desperate. They're not scrambling to patch holes or chase headlines with flashy names. This front office has built something sustainable, something real. Every player in that locker room believes in the system, and every fan can feel the difference. You don't just plug a hole anymore, you make sure the move fits the culture. That's what separates this version of the Lions from everyone that came before it. Think about what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have done. They've built a foundation on accountability, toughness, and trust. The locker room isn't just full of athletes, it's full of guys who buy in, who play for each other, who understand what it means to wear Honolulu blue. You bring in the wrong kind of veteran, even a talented one, and you risk shaking that chemistry. That's why the trade conversation isn't about panic. It's about precision. Let's look at it realistically. The defensive front is one of the best in the league right now. Alim McNeill has taken another step forward, turning into a dominant interior presence who can collapse the pocket and stuff the run. DJ Reader adds that veteran strength inside, setting the tone physically. Guys like Tyrus Wheat and Mohammed are emerging as reliable rotational pieces, giving the Lions depth and energy every time they rotate in. That's not something you want to disrupt just for the sake of adding a name. But the edge rush? That's where it gets interesting. Jalen Phillips, Arden Key, both could make an immediate impact. The question is, do they make you that much better than what you already have? Because sometimes, the difference between an extra sack and a consistent culture isn't worth the price of a draft pick, especially when you've got young players waiting to prove themselves. The secondary's still healing, but it's not broken. Kirby Joseph is close to returning, and that's a huge boost. He's a ball hawk, one of those rare players who changes how quarterbacks read the field. When he's out there, the defense just feels different, more confident, more aggressive. Terrion Arnold should be back soon, too, and when he returns, this unit will be nearly whole again. They've survived the injuries, they've held the line, and that resilience says everything you need to know about this defense's identity. Now, as we hit the midpoint of the season, every game from here out carries weight. The Lions are in a spot where they control their own destiny. They've handled adversity. They've answered questions. They've shown they can win ugly, win big, and win under pressure. And now, with the bye week giving them time to heal and reset, they've got a chance to come out of it sharper than ever. You can feel how much this fan base has changed, too. Ford Field isn't just loud, it's electric. The black jerseys under the lights have become a symbol of pride. Opponents walk in expecting noise and leave knowing exactly why Detroit has become one of the toughest places to play. It's not just about football anymore, it's about identity. And let's not overlook what's happening across the division. The Packers continue to stumble through inconsistency. The Vikings can't seem to find rhythm. The Bears are still trying to figure out who they are. The Lions have the clearest vision in the NFC North, and arguably one of the clearest in the entire conference. They're not chasing trends, they're setting a standard. So maybe that's what makes this trade conversation so compelling. For years, Detroit fans were used to hoping for a big move to fix everything. But now, the best move might be no move at all. Maybe it's about staying patient, staying true to the process, and trusting the pieces already in place. Because when you've gone 3 straight seasons without losing back-to-back games, that says something. When you're undefeated in home primetime under Dan Campbell, that says even more. This isn't luck. This isn't hype. This is what it looks like when a franchise finally grows into itself. And as the Lions prepare for the stretch run, the question becomes less about who they could add, and more about who they already are. So what do you think, Lions fans? Should Detroit make a bold trade to chase a Super Bowl right now, or should they stay the course and keep building the hard way, the way that got them here? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and stick around because the next video is already on the way. And trust me, you won't want to miss it, because when you really step back and look at it, this is the kind of moment that defines great franchises. Not the flashy offseasons or the headlines during the trade deadline, it's the choices made in the quiet moments, when the team has momentum, belief, and options. That's exactly where Detroit stands right now. The Lions don't need saving anymore. They don't need a miracle signing or a desperate move. They've become the kind of team that others now have to chase. That's why the column from Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes this week says everything. They've earned the luxury of patience. They know that every decision now has to serve the long-term goal, building a championship window that stays open for years, not just one season. That's the difference between a contender and a dynasty in the making. And honestly, you can feel that maturity in the way the players carry themselves. Nobody's panicking. Nobody's pointing fingers. Veterans are mentoring rookies. The young guys are stepping up, and there's a trust that radiates from the locker room all the way into the fan base. Even when the injuries pile up, this team finds ways to adapt. When one guy goes down, someone else steps up. That's culture, not coincidence. Look at Jahmyr Gibbs again as the perfect example. Every touch feels like an event. He's not just producing, he's transforming games. When he cuts through the defense, when he breaks a tackle that should have stopped him cold, you can almost hear the crowd's belief growing louder. It's like everyone watching knows, this isn't the same old Lions anymore. Same goes for players like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who embodies everything this team stands for: relentless effort, discipline, and heart. Or Sam Laporta, already playing like a veteran at tight end. Every week, they remind you that Detroit doesn't need to chase stars, they're developing them in-house. The bye week gives them the reset they need before the push. A chance to get healthy, to fine-tune the little things, to prepare for the kind of second half where legacies are written. Every team left on the schedule is going to get their best shot because that's what happens when you're the hunted, not the hunter. And Detroit's ready for that. They've built for that. So yeah, the trade rumors will keep swirling, and fans will debate every name that pops up. But the truth is simple. The Lions are already where they've always wanted to be, in control of their own story.